My philosophy on Monster Hunter is every weapon works, even for endgame. It's just a matter of making a good set for it. Now, a lot of people out there will tell you that some weapons just suck, and there's clearly other weapons that stand out above the rest as being the best weapon to use. And you know what? Everyone's entitled to their opinion. Fact is, Capcom put literally hundreds of endgame weapons in this game, and there's a reason why they did that. Now, Capcom didn't do that just so that a small group of people could spend thousands of hours trying to figure out which of those weapons works the best in a spreadsheet simulation. No, Capcom put that many weapons in the game for a couple different reasons. Number one, a lot of people who play this game like to do some light role playing, and having so many different weapons allows them to do that. I know, it's crazy. For a game that you go out and bash monsters over the head nonstop, over and over again, repeatedly, why would anyone want to pretend to be something that they're not? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because it's a video game with fantasy elements. Another reason why you'll see so many weapons in this game is because the game is designed for people to find new and interesting ways to play it. So if you have 30, 40 different bows to choose from, 30, 40 different swords and shields to choose from, times 14 different weapons, that is too many ways to play the game. So when you have 19 million people playing a Monster Hunter game, and there's 500 different weapons to choose from, you can see there's a potential for a lot of different variety in how people choose to play the game. So when you go into a lobby, you don't see everyone using the same gear and playing the exact same way. Makes the game fun, makes the game interesting, makes the game exciting. There are a lot of reasons why there are so many different weapons in the game. Another big one that stands out to me is this. Many weapons are intentionally designed for you to figure out how to exploit them, to figure out in what particular scenarios this particular weapon will excel at. And some weapons excel at just a single quest, a single monster. Some weapons excel at a handful of different monsters. And some weapons excel at being really good general purpose weapons. But what I'm talking about are those weapons that at first glance don't seem very good. But then when you really start to think about it, you find that there is something different about them that maybe potentially could be exploited. Maybe you could take advantage of the way that this weapon is different from all the rest, even though some aspects of it look terrible. So let's get to the part where I steal someone's content. And when I steal something from somebody, I'm going to give them credit for it, for sure. Over on the Discord, got hundreds and hundreds of members over there, and so many creative people. And one of those people is named Zacharias. And here's a little something that he wrote. Base game High Ninja Sword was my favorite sword and shield, because you could stack Bludgeoner on it and make up for the low sharpness damage multiplier. Also, shield bashing a monster with your bare fist is my favorite way to play sword and shield. But I couldn't find a way to make the Rarity 10 version worth playing in Sunbreak, sadly. There's just too many other ways to get crit. Maybe I should go back and try again though, because I could easily get attack boost 7, crit boost 3, offensive guard 3, all of that now, whereas I couldn't do that in base game. Still going to be hard to make up for the fact that it only has blue sharpness though. Alright, so I remember back in base game, so many people saying High Ninja Sword was one of the best weapons in the game, and you could do so much with it, and it was just amazing and awesome. And some people would argue that you couldn't find a better sword and shield than High Ninja Sword. And then Sunbreak came out, and everybody ditched it, dropped it as fast as they could for all the newer, shinier things. Poor Zacharias, he still wants to play his favorite weapon, but can he make it work? Well, I already told you what my philosophy is, and so I encouraged him to make it work. And you know what? That's exactly what he did. He created a build for High Ninja Sword, an endgame Sunbreak build that is simply amazing. Now in Sunbreak, the endgame version is called Ninja Master Sword, and this weapon only has 300 attack power It only has blue sharpness. Now you're thinking, we got purple sharpness in Endgame, Sunbreak. Blue sharpness, that is such a joke. Your damage multiplier is so terrible. And beyond that, you're going to bounce off everything. Every attack you do is going to bounce, right? Oh, and look, you only have a level 1 rampage slot. And look at that, you only have 3 level 1 decoration slots. This is ridiculous. There's no element on it. What's the point of this? You don't even get bonus defense. Well, friends, why would Capcom put weapons in the game that are useless? That is my question to you. And I haven't heard a good answer to that yet. So I can only operate under the assumption that this is an amazing weapon. And if we can't make it work for Endgame, that's on us, not on Capcom. That's our fault. That's our shortcoming, not Capcom's. So, do you want to take a look at what Zacharias did to this weapon to get some amazing DPS, amazing playability, and to output more damage than I thought was possible with a sword and shield? Is this the highest DPS build in the game? Probably not, but you also know my philosophy on that one. DPS has less to do with your build and more to do with how well you play the game, how well you know the game, and how well you play your weapon. And spoiler alert, Zacharias knows how to play this weapon. So before we get to his build, I am going to show you something else. You see, Zacharias is not the only person who likes to optimize particular weapons. I find it incredibly interesting myself, so I took up the challenge as well. And I tried to make a sword and shield build around this weapon that would work for me. Now, Zacharias is a much better player than I am, probably overall, but for sword and shield, he's light years ahead of me. I get by. If I put in another 100 or 200 hours into the weapon, I think I could get to where he is now. So I had to build around the ways that I like to play the game and also maybe a few of my shortcomings. So here's what I did for this weapon. First of all, attack boost 7, no question. I put this on every one of my sets. We don't have any element on this thing, so we got to get our raw up as high as possible. All right, so having 100% crit on your weapon is insane. And if you can't figure out how to take advantage of that, then I don't know what to tell you. What this means is you don't need critical eye. You don't need weakness exploit. You don't need any of the other skills that give you affinity. Just ditch them. That's several skills in many cases. 3, 4, 5 skills that you can just forget about. You don't have to stick them in. And that clears up a lot of room to do some very interesting things and customize. I would say this weapon is the most customizable on the list because you can pack in more skills than you can with any other weapon. Now, I put in crit boost level 3. That's going to bring us to 40% critical damage. And guess what? You're going to hit for 40%, 100% of the time because your affinity is 100%. Think about that. You're going to crit even on your white numbers. So how else can we boost the attack on this thing? Some of these ideas I did steal from Zacharias, like sneak attack. The cool thing about having 100% crit is you don't have to focus on weak spots. You don't have to keep repositioning and all that. You can hit the monster anywhere you want. Now you might say, oh, well, those low hit zones, why bother hitting them? You're not going to do very much damage. Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, you can jack the attack on this thing so high that even your white numbers will be good. And your white number DPS will be amazing. I've got sneak attack 3 on mine. And God, I can't even keep all this stuff straight. I've got resuscitate for even more attack, burst, still more attack, adrenaline rush, more attack. Look at all this attack. Now some safety skills that I like. Defiance level 5 works really well. Basically blocks the roars and any other minor things, minor inconveniences. Evade window 3. And when I combine that with bubbly dance, I get that up to evade window level 5. And the bubbly dance is going to keep my resuscitate activated. Since we're going to be doing a lot of shield attacks, I've got stamina thief level 3. Why? Because I can. I've also got part breaker level 3. And guess what? I'm using the destroyer oil. It's amazing. We got the offensive guard in there for even more attack, and we can proc that easily with particular switch skills. All right, so what you're thinking, you're still gonna bounce. What's the point of all this? How about Mind's Eye level 3? And also, did you know that Mind's Eye level 3, not only does it keep you from bouncing off the monster, but it's gonna boost your attack power. That's right. Other things I put on this set intentionally, Wind Mantle 2. I did test this with Wind Mantle 3 and Wirebug Whisperer 3, and that was overkill. I dialed it down to Wind Mantle 2, and it allowed me to keep all the Wirebugs I needed to spam the switch skills that I wanted to spam. Coalescence, I only had 1 point in here, but I was able to stick a second point in just because at the end. That second point is an extra point, but Coalescence is going to proc whenever I lose my Bubbly Dance, and various other conditions as well. And then the Shock Absorber at the very end. I had to get rid of this Dragon conversion, so I augmented it off my set, and I traded it in for 3 extra slots. That was pretty cool. Yeah, most people are trying to augment skills onto their equipment. I'm trying to take them off more often than not. So what about switch skills? All right, I told you I wasn't a great Sword and Shield player, and I haven't played a lot of it in Sunbreak. And then I discovered this cool new move, Shield Bash. It's not new to you guys, I know. It's new to me, because I just got back into Sword and Shield. But the Shield Bash switch skill is amazing. Great for mobility, repositioning, great for sliding through attacks, you just gotta time it right. Great for proccing offensive guard, and it does great damage. You can sneak it into your combos anywhere you want. It's a great way to start a combo too, so I love it. And the Destroyer Oil. Now, I could use my switch skill swap to get in some of those Shoryu Gekis, but you know, I kind of like just staying on one scroll. Sometimes I forget to switch scrolls. This works well for me for now. And yeah, it works great solo, it works great multiplayer. As far as my other switch skills go, I just pick the ones that give me the combos that I like. No big deal. And so I can keep Destroyer Oil up 100% of the time. I can spam as many Shield Bash moves as I want. I just don't run out of Wirebugs. I can attack almost non-stop with this thing, and I've got some safety built into it as well, because I kind of need that. And as you can see, it works fairly well for a noob. If you're in endgame and you're switching to Sword and Shield, you don't want to have to worry too much about learning the weapon right off. This is a great build. Zacharias' build is a bit different from mine, and he is a better Sword and Shield player than I am. So he forgoes some of the skills that I have on here and replaces them with, yeah, you guessed it, even more damage output. So what does he say about his build? Just put this together, gonna give this a go. If this works, my favorite Sword and Shield will be back in business. Had Burst in there instead of Embolden, but I kind of feel like the free guard and evade levels is worth the flat raw from Burst. Plus, since it makes monsters angry, it'll make me immune to roars faster since I have Defiance. He said he did a test. The shell on the training dummy, he was getting 75 DPS. On the shell, not the head, not the leg, the shell. And then he optimized it a little bit more and he was over 80. I don't even know where he ended up in terms of shell DPS, but it's ridiculous. And so I tried my build on the shell thinking this can't be real. And yeah, it's real. It's amazing how much damage you can get on hard hit zones with this build. Yeah, he did give me some advice on putting my build together as well. And yeah, he ran out of armor spheres in the process because he's been redoing his older favorite builds. I tend to favor wacky builds, he says. Find stuff that maybe shouldn't work together, or just find stuff that might be overlooked by the community at large and find a way to make it work for me. I've always done that in Dungeons and Dragons and Monster Hunter, and pretty much every kind of game that gives me choices, you'll often find me making strange ones. So, High Ninja Sword, viable? Of course it's viable. Every weapon is viable in endgame. High Ninja Sword average? Not in the slightest. High Ninja Sword is amazing, and thanks to Zacharias, it's now one of my favorite weapons too. Oh, but you said you were going to show us his build, right? Didn't you steal this content? Give us the good stuff. Well guys, if you want to see a better High Ninja Sword build than this, that does even more damage and is far more effective, come on over to the Discord and you'll find it. All the details are there, and he's there too. And if you ask him nicely, he'll probably help you out as much as he helped me. Not only did he help me find my new favorite weapon, he also helped me find the hidden strength that was buried deep inside my heart. So click like if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, check out the Discord. This is just a small sample of the amazing people we've got and the cool builds we've got and the great players we have to team up with. Let me know in the comments what you would do to improve this build to make it even better than it already is. And tell me what your favorite sword and shield is, if it's not High Ninja Sword. Also, you could tell me what kinds of overlooked weapons you've been building around and having fun with. That's all I got for now. See you in the next one.